Hello everyone and welcome back over to the DM side. Now this video for this week is actually going to be a bit of an information video on the channel and where I think it's going, and on top of that we're actually going to be building a character on DnD Beyond for anyone who has actually never done that before. So if you aren't interested in knowing about where the channel's going to go, I'll put a chapter marker in this video for those who would be interested in the D&D Beyond character creation section. But where we currently left off with the channel is I started the channel where I wanted to talk about and provide an insight into how a dungeon master runs a official campaign. So not a homebrew sort of story, but one that's put out by Wizards of the Coast. I chose Dungeons & Dragons Waterdeep Dragon Heist. And from there, I started the channel and would vlog talking about what I think is going to happen in the campaign, what I think is going to happen in each session, what I've got planned for those sessions. And then in the next videos, I would come back and we would talk about what my players did and how I plan to work with that now. Because D&D isn't just a straight story that you get to make as a DM. It is, I plan a ton of stuff and then my players go and do something completely unrelated. And then I want to try and make it all work and make it fun, because you are, as a DM, you are the medium. You aren't the one in charge per se that makes the choices. You're the one who gives them the options, and then you help navigate through how do we make this work? How do we make it happen? And you use a variety of ways. There's the rule book, so the rule of law. Then you have rule for fun, where you change things and you tweak and you bend the rules a bit, so that way the story can be that little bit more entertaining. And then there are other homebrew ways where you can really open the whole world and just basically make your own game using the very bare bones skeleton of the 5th edition structure. But we did that series, and I first of all want to say a big thank you to every single person who has watched those videos, and to every single person who has commented on those videos, whether it be helping me with the sound quality, the picture quality, just general information as well. And even if when I've gotten things wrong, I really do appreciate it, because it does help me become a better filmmaker. And what I really want to provide for this channel to you is a service, is some kind of information. Because, for example, I have YouTubers that I love to watch, and I get information from them, and I get entertainment from them. So I'm not really making these videos for me, because I'm never going to watch them back to learn. I may watch them back to remind myself, but I'm not going to watch them for new knowledge. What I want to do is I want to provide information and entertainment to whoever's watching these videos. So for everyone that has commented, I really do appreciate it, because it has helped me become a better filmmaker. And it's only been a couple of months. I started this channel, I think, back in August of 2020. And for a long time, we were sitting on 45 subscribers. And I thought, oh, this must be the peak. Maybe there's not that much interest in this at all, and I've made a silly mistake. But I'm going to finish the series because I've started this and I want to provide a full, complete bookend story at least. And all of a sudden, throughout December, we jumped from 42 subscribers, 45 subscribers, all the way up to what is now, where we are in January 2021, 116 subscribers. And I'm over the moon about it, because getting 1 or 2 every day is just reminding me that some people are slowly seeing it. The algorithm on YouTube is starting to favor these videos, and it actually is finding people who are interested in these videos. And so it really makes me want to continue on. And so that brings me to our next point. Where to next? What's coming up? Well, over the Christmas holiday and over all of December, I actually really haven't been just sitting back making these vlog videos on Waterdeep. In my spare time, I've actually been going through the monster manual on D&D Beyond. So just all the monsters. And I have a series that will hopefully be uploading as of February onwards, which goes through each different type. And what I've done is I've just selected a few monsters. Some are longer than others, some aren't. It really depends on the type of monster. And I just talk about a handful of ones that I personally think are actually really underrated, or they are very useful to have in your campaign. And I talk about just 1 or 2 ways that you can actually include them in your campaign, whether it's a high campaign or a low campaign. I try and find out what the best use is for those creatures, just so you can really change it up. Sometimes, you play D&D, and once you've had that many dragon fights, or you've had that many fights with drow mages or something like that, you really want to start changing it, and you start looking for other monsters. So I thought, well, here's a situation where I can provide some information again. Hopefully it will help just anyone, and it'll help you as a DM. It'll help you spark an idea. You may watch my videos and go, all of that is rubbish. That is the worst thing I've ever heard, the worst thing I've ever seen. And I've wasted about 30 minutes maximum, hopefully maximum, watching this video. But now I know I can do the complete opposite, and I can do it better, and my players are going to love it. And that gives me joy, because I know that through my fault, you improve, or you don't make the mistakes that you think I have made. So we have a monster series that is currently in production. I'm halfway through filming them. After that, I'll need to edit them, and I should have them scheduled and ready to start going up as of February. But on top of that, I do want to have these more week-to-week videos, so that way I can still keep up to date with chatting with everybody and talking about what we're all interested in. So after Waterdeep Dragon Heist, I'm taking a seat at the players' table. I will not be the DM for this next campaign. I will be a player in the Rime of the Frost Maiden in Icewind Dale. So please try not to give me too many spoilers. To be fair, if I get them, that's fine. I am pretty good at forgetting things, to be fair, and not remembering things. I've seen a creature that's in that book that D&D posted on DnD Beyond, and I've already forgotten what it looks like and what it does. So at the end of the day, I'll probably just forget anyway. But I'm going to be a player. I'm going to be playing a druid of the Moon Circle. He will be a furbolg. I've never played a furbolg before, and his name is Roken. And so that character has already been created. I was very excited to make it, and I've made it with my DM in mind and the area in mind. And so we have actually worked together. He gave me a secret. You get a secret in that campaign, and I've worked that secret into my backstory, so that way I can freely speak about it. But how is that going to work with the vlogging? So I will be at the player's side, not the DM side, funnily enough. And so it's really going to be more of a vlog where I just talk about what happened in the session. How do I feel about the other people around me? How do I feel about the decisions that we made? How do I feel about my decisions that I made? And where can I improve from there? Along with, what do I think is going to happen in the next session? What do I think is happening in the story? And then eventually, any surprises that happen, we'll have together, because I won't know them until they happen. So it's going to be a very different setting and a very different style of vlogging. And I'll be using those series as a way to continuously, obviously, improve my camera skills and setup skills. But that will, hopefully, we will start around February as well. And on top of that, it should be a weekly session that will probably go for, I'd say, 6 to 8 months, really. So strap in, it's going to be a long session. Now, finally, the last thing, I am currently in talks with a few different groups. I'm trying to get something set up, but I don't want to rush into saying it's definitely going to happen, because I want to make sure there is a consistency. If there's no consistency, then that means the series that I make will stop halfway, and anyone enjoying it will be frustrated that it just randomly stopped. And it does involve the fact that I need to have players. So I loved running Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and I constantly go on about how much I loved running the Curse of Strahd series. So what I plan to do, I want to rerun that campaign again for a whole new set of players that have never played D&D before, or there is another group that have played before, but they would like to play more D&D. And so we would also have a series that is the Curse of Strahd running the game in the same style as Waterdeep running the game. So that's on the books. I don't know when it will happen. I've been in talks with 2 different groups about it for quite a while now, but we are slowly getting towards putting a group together, and then we will move on from there. So that's kind of how the channel is going. Like I said, it's just a really big thank you really to everyone that is even watching this and taking the time to listen to me sprout what I sprout. But as always, this channel gets better because of the comments that you make. And so please constantly comment. Tell me if I've made a mistake somewhere when describing anything that is D&D related. Tell me when my video quality is faltering. Tell me when if it's boring and you would like something different to spice it up a bit. Tell me if the quality of the audio is no good and that this actual microphone, I need to get a different one. Just constantly tell me what you find value in when it comes to videoing, because it will help me learn. I won't be able to please everybody, but what I can do is try and please most of you, which should have a good, it should do good for the channel, I guess. That's my understanding. But anyway, that's the state of the channel. I am super happy. I'm aiming to try and get to maybe 150 subscribers by the end of, let's say, February. I think that's reasonable. We're on 116 currently, and we're about halfway through. We are exactly halfway through January as of the day of filming. So I think a month and a half to get about 30-ish more subscribers is reasonable. If we're gaining one a day, we might just fall short. But hey, share the video, share the channel. Let's just see how far this can go. So let's bring it down to the computer and let's move into the DnD Beyond character creation section. In this section, we are going to be creating a backup character should my Frostmaiden character, Roken, fall short early on in the campaign or later on in the campaign where revival isn't an option. Now, to be completely honest, the way that we play is death, though it can be undone, sometimes rarely have we actually undone it. A lot of we kind of just move on with the story and allow the backup character to come in. So it's always good to have a backup character, because I die quite a lot. I think I've racked up the most deaths in the entirety of playing with this group since we started 6 years ago. So it's always good I have one or two extras. Okay, so welcome over to DnD Beyond. Now, this is the homepage currently, but we are going to actually be making a character. So we're going to go up to Tools. Once you go to Tools, you want to go to your Character Builder. Now, if you're using the free version, you need to, you basically need to have all the books bought. So the best thing to do is once you get together with your group is you all go in and you buy, I think it's the Hero Pack or the Master Pack. And basically then you can all share a lot of the content, and it'll come down to really who wants to purchase the books or if you want to purchase them all together. I know that luckily our DM actually has bought the Legendary Bundle, and so he has every single book, whereas there are some of the groups that I play in where they don't have that, and so it does make it a little bit difficult. But luckily I also have all the books, so I have access to everything. So first of all, this is a fantastic resource to have if you have access to all the books. The downside is obviously it costs the same amount to buy the physical book as it does to buy the digital book, and if you buy the physical book, it doesn't come with a digital book download option, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. So once you've gotten to this section, you want to click on standard. You could do a quick build where it creates a first level character, asking you questions, you do it yourself, and then it'll like just push out a character for you. Or the randomizer, which I would never use. I've tried it twice just to see what would happen, and this doesn't really work very well. I think I got one level 6 character that was 2 levels bard, 1 level barbarian, and 3 levels in rogue or something like that. It was pretty chaotic. It's better to go into your standard, and if you are a new player, they do have a little box here you can check, which will help you along the way. But we're going to do it together. So today we are creating my backup character for Rime of the Frostmaiden. Okay, so once you have your first page up, basically you want to give your character a names. One option you can do is names by fantasy name generator, and it'll actually open up the name generator website. So for example, if we go there, we can click on fantasy names, and I am considering playing a drow, but I do find that the elf names are pretty crazy. What I like to do is go to the dryad names, and once I get there, it'll load up some much easier names to pronounce. So let's see, Azola or Ivis. Ivis sounds nice. Let's go with Ivis because I want to move on. So we're going to go with Ivis for now. We can change that later, obviously. Once you come down here, you have your sources. So I only have some things turned on and some things turned off. I leave the homebrew content on because later on down the track, I might be gifted a homebrew ability. I leave critical role content on because we kind of allow it, I guess, but it's never really come up that we've needed it. Playtest content is always on because we definitely like to play around with what is being released and see what it's going to be like. We've turned off magic and we don't have Eberron content on. Rick and Morty probably shouldn't be on either. And non-core D&D content, we leave that on because it might mess with some of this stuff here. But we definitely click off magic and Eberron because we're not playing in either of those worlds. So even if we have encounters that are related to these worlds, that's more on the DM side opposed to the player's side. After that, we want a digital rolling for dice. Sure, that's fine. Optional features, we don't turn it off because we can customize our origin. We can have optional class features. This is all because of Tashes. So obviously if we want to create a completely different type of creature / race, whatever, then you want to leave those on. Milestone advancement. If you click down here, you could go with XP. We're not doing XP. We're doing milestone. Basically, if you beat a monster or you do something that helps you progress the story, you could be doing experience points where you level up like in a game online or like a video game, but milestone is probably a bit easier because then you're not tracking numbers and then you don't feel that grind. Finally, after that, hit point, we are doing a fixed hit point, whereas you obviously can do a manual update where you roll the dice yourself. Fixed is just easier. We don't really worry too much about that. Also, I don't like rolling very low, so I'm happy with the fixed. After that, use prerequisites. We don't need that. We want to show level scaled spells. Yes, no, we don't display the high level spells. Yep, that's fine. Use encumbrant. That's about how much things you can carry. Ignore coin weight. That's fine. Ability score modifier display. Modifiers top scores. Yeah, we'll figure that out as we go along. And we want to make it public so I can put it into other campaigns. Moving on, we now have our race. So I did mention I want to be a drow. Now, the reason I would like to be a drow is because in Realm of the Frost Maiden, as far as I know, there's a lot of darkness. There's a perpetual darkness or something like that. It's the only information I've really been given. So if I go down to elves, where are they? Genasi elves. If I go to elves, then I can find dark elf and be a drow. Now, if you don't want to be a drow, obviously you can click on any of these races and you can read through all their different things. So for example, there's the Eladrin elf, which are more of your Feywild elves. Then you have your high elves, who are much more high in society and they have benefits for that. And then you've got your wood elves. Pretty basic race to be looking at. So my actual character I'm playing will be a Furbolg, and so he has just got the one type of race currently. I could definitely see them coming out with more in the future, as well as, your Genasi, your genie demigod children, all different types, depending on the type of Genasi as their parentage. But we're going to go with the Dark Elf. Because I get the Drow, I get a +2 to my dexterity. I gain Dark Vision, I have Keen Senses, and I have Fey Ancestry, and I can trance. Now, if you don't know what any of that is, obviously you want to click into the details of that page and read up on it, or if you don't have the book, basically you want to go and find that information online somewhere. There's a little bit of a blurb here to explain who the Drow are, just to give you an idea. And then as you go down, it'll tell you about the things: keen senses, Fey Ancestry, so on and so on. Superior darkness, so that means you get further darkness. Regular darkness is up to 60 feet. So then it talks about their magic as well. So I choose that race. Once I've done that, that page is done and we move on. Again, I can open these things up and check it again. It really gives you the option to read up on that character before moving on. Now we come to our class. Here are all the different classes you can have, and there is a lot. This can be very overwhelming. So what I would suggest is really thinking about how you play. If you are someone who, when you play video games or you watch movies, are you someone who really wants to be upfront and fighting, and you really want to be just hacking away at the enemy? So if that's the case, go for things like a barbarian or a fighter or a monk. A paladin is really good if you want to have a lot of upfront battle power, but you also want to dabble in magic. You can also do a rogue, which is very sneaky, and you jump in and make an attack and then you leave as quickly as you can because you're squishy. Whereas if you're more of and to be fair, actually a cleric. don't want to miss out on that. Clerics are also awesome. They, in 5th edition, they're not just healers. They do have a lot of battle power, which is great. But otherwise, maybe you're more of a at-range fighter. So you don't want to be in the mix. You want to be up in the trees. You want to be at the back of the group. So you want to look more at things like your rangers. You want to look at your sorcerers, your warlocks, your wizards, your bards. Bards are so strong in 5th edition, like crazy strong. So definitely consider them. But the thing is, apart from the ranger, the other 4 are spellcasters. And so they are heavy on utility, heavy on managing your spells and spell slots. So you just need to be ready for understanding how to use them. Usually it's better if you, as a new player, come into the game and you play something a bit more standard, and then you move into your arcane abilities. Because once I open up these, because D&D has been out for quite a while now, there's not just picking one of these, it's picking something inside of that. So I'm actually going with a barbarian because I love being up front fighting, and I think they're absolutely awesome. They get a lot of damage. They can rage, which means they get extra damage. They don't need any armor really. So here they have their unarmored defense. They can reckless, which I am very reckless if you didn't get it from me having the most deaths racked up in this game. They have danger sense, so they have advantage on things that they can see when it comes to dexterity. And then you get your primal path. This is where, now at level 3, every single class has an additional subclass, which gives you more variety and changes you. So that way, if you're playing a whole campaign, a party of all, barbarians, you're not all going to be doing the exact same thing. This is where your character is allowed to open up and change, as well as then you get your ability to score improvements. And that's like the standard build. Things like at 5th level, you get extra attack. You can move faster, and a lot of other things. So we're going to add the class, and it's going to ask me, anything with this little blue dot here is going to ask me to pick some things. So my hit dice, I don't have to do anything about. That's already done because I put that at fixed. If it wasn't at fixed, I would be rolling it. I get a rage and I get unarmored defense at level 1. Now I need to add my skills. So here's my basic build right now, but I need to add 2 skills and I can pick from this list. So we're going to be up in the Frost Maiden, Frozen Icewind Dale area. So I feel like an animal handling check might come in handy because we'll probably run into some interesting creatures up there. And then I think either nature or survival would be really good because of the wasteland. So survival would be good to get around. Survival's like probably the better one of the 2 because we'll be tracking a lot, I think. And maybe animal. Barbarians are really strong, so I think I want to have extra athletics to make sure that I'm always getting that. And I think it helps with my attacks. So maybe not the animal handling. I think we might have somebody else on the team with animal handling, unless that's my druid. But we'll go with athletics. So it's always good to pick one not in combat, but one that's like more personal, physical, something that you're really good at, and then picking something that is probably good for the story. So there we go. So that's what I actually get at level 1. Now, should we go, let's just bump it up to level 3 so I can show you what changes. When we get to level 3, we get to choose the primal path. So once we get to level 3, I will be choosing, and this, now, it's not the best of the barbarians. To be completely honest, I'm pretty sure the Zealot is actually amazing, and I'm pretty sure that the Totem Warrior as a bear is probably one of the best barbarians. And then obviously there's a Berserker who just goes mental and you get a lot of damage. But I actually am really excited because I want... Oh, I don't think it's here. Oh, I don't think I have Tasha's on here just yet. So I do want... It's in Tasha's, which is the Wild Magic Barbarian. So I actually don't have it currently available, but I would be picking that. But for now, let's go into the Berserker just to show what will happen. Once you pick that, it will add to your character sheet what you will get for that level. And then as you get higher in levels, you will then get all these things here as well. So let's drop this back down to level 1. Yep. Oh no, I'm going to lose things. That's okay. I'm not level 3 yet. And let's move on. Now, when you get here, this is your ability scores. This is basically when you roll the dice. This is like the plus or the minus that you add to the dice for when you do things. Now, there are a bunch of different ways to do it. There's the standard array, which is done through score calculations. I don't think I've ever used standard array, actually. Yeah. I've never used this. I actually don't know how that works. Then you have your manual roll. And now this one's pretty tricky. So this is where you would roll. Oh, here we go. See, it's rolling all these dice. You would roll the dice and it would do the numbers for you. So then I roll it again. 9. Oh, these are really low. I guess they're not really low, actually. 10 is like base. And I haven't added any of the checks. Although it'd be nice to get something a bit higher. There you go. There's your 14. So I'd be putting that in my strength most likely, or my constitution. And then finally 11. So pretty good. So in some cases you can actually get really high rolls. And the reason we stopped using manual roll is because there were some characters who were getting things like 6, 6, and like 5. And they get it for 2 or 3. And so your ability scores aren't really high anymore. Though they got nowhere to grow. So personally, I think point buy is the better option. You start at 8 with everything, and then you have points to buy into your actual into your strengths. So that way you can't overdo everything, but you can be really great in something or really terrible in another, or you can be baseline. Now, a barbarian wants to be strong. So what I like to do is I like to slap as much in that, and I like to slap as much in my constitution. Then I try to balance everything out. So I want him to be charismatic because he's actually going to, I want him to be really good at intimidating and deceiving and persuading. So I feel like having high charisma would be good. High con is amazing because that's what I get extra health from. And if I'm going to be upfront fighting, I want as much health as possible. And then naturally I'm very strong, so I would like to have a lot of strength. Now I could just leave that here, but when you look at it, I have a +2 in strength. I have a 0 modifier here. I get 0, nothing in dexterity, +2 in con, -1 in intelligence, -1 in wisdom, and a +3 in charisma. Now, I've only been talking about the barbarian side of this. I did choose the drow. So we need to remember the drow gets a bonus in dex. So maybe what I should do is I need to reduce something. So I think I'm going to take charisma down, because charisma actually got a +1 for being a drow. Sitting on 13, I have a +1. If you have an odd number up here, then this will be down 1. So 14 means I get a +2, 13 is a +1, 12 is a +1. So I'm going to bump that up to a +2 to have good charisma. That will allow me to move up my dexterity, hopefully to a +2. Yep. Now, let's see. Constitution is not a +3 because that can't be 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it at a +2 by bringing it down to 14. And I'm going to bring my strength down to +2 because that's a 14. I can't go higher than 16. That's just not an option. So that's the best my strength will be. Now I've got 4 points remaining, which does mean I could bring my wisdom back up to 16. And I could have my charisma. I could have no wisdom and no intelligence. So this is one way you could build a character who has defined flaws. My barbarian drow is very strong, very dexterous, has high constitution, and is extremely charismatic. So in battle, they're a powerhouse. And outside of battle, they're just probably really good at making up stories that are very convincing because there's no intelligence there. They're not book smarts. They don't look for things very well. They're not really interested in finding out information. And then even wisdom. They're not ones to be sprouting great knowledge and great lines for your players to be inspired by. It's more they're making it up. They're talking smack. And then if that don't work, they're smacking smack. So that's why you can build a really cool character, because these two negatives are going to really affect you later on. Wisdom saving throws are the worst thing to fail. Because, you could be possessed, for example, or you could just fall unconscious for some things. However, having a lot of constitution and dexterity can be super helpful. Now, let's say you want to balance it out and you don't want to have these negatives. Now, it's important to remember a negative doesn't mean you're stupid and you play your character in intelligence as if though they're like, they got a couple screws missing. Basically, I think in D&D the way it works is an 8 is actually your base. So all commoners will generally have this -1 intelligence, or they may have a 10 and be at base. As you level up and get stronger, the reason that your characters are so amazing is because they're getting these buffs, whereas regular commoners don't. So if you start at 8, then you are base. You are just at a normal level of a normal human or humanoid in the world doing normal things. A blacksmith would have maybe a 0 in intelligence because they're smarter at blacksmithing than somebody else. But in general intelligence, they're probably sitting at a -1. Whereas your nobles, yeah, I mean, you can change it up how you want, but don't act as if though your character has to be this real dumb character who resembles like Hodor from Game of Thrones just because they have a -1 in intelligence. And the same thing for wisdom. You don't need to act as if though you have to give bad advice because you have no wisdom. It's just something you may not partake in. But let's say you want to balance it out some more. You don't want to have negatives. I personally don't think it's the best thing, but what you can do is you can reduce your, let's see, I could take my charisma down to 13. Nah, still +2. Let's take it down to 11. That'll put me on a +1. That should mean I can bring these both up. Yeah, and then we can put that back up. There we go, back up to 10. Now look, now I get no negatives. I'm not getting bonuses, but I'm getting no negatives. I still have +2 to my charisma saving throw and all my other throws. So this is like more, again, balancing your characters out so that way they're even. If you really wanted to, you could put +1 across everything by reducing charisma down. You could reduce your strength down, or you could reduce your dexterity down because you already get the +2 there anyway. And then you'll have a couple +1s, a couple +2s. But I'm going to quickly change this back to what I prefer because I love having flaws. And I think one great way to have flaws is to have negatives in your stats. There we go. Two reasons why I leveled them out. Uneven numbers, you don't get a boost from it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Even numbers, later on, if you take an ability score improvement at level 4, you can add 2 to one of them. So I can make my strength a +3 by making that 16. Now, again, on the flip side, you could change that. I could have both of these at 15, knowing that I want to put them both up to 16 at level 4. And so I'll just wait a bit of time for that. So it's a numbers game here. Now that that's done, we choose a background. There are tons of backgrounds, and I would encourage you to really think about the title of them and then read a few that you think stand out to you. So something like, I don't know, a criminal spy could work for a dark elf. As a barbarian, I could have something like a gladiator, or I could have a hermit. Maybe I've been in hiding as a barbarian. I've left my tribe. I could even have an outlander, but you really can make any of them work. Maybe I am a cloistered scholar. And so in my past, I was actually part of a drow society, and I was actually brought up and had a lot of information, and I was well known for fonts of knowledge, and I was the keeper of knowledge and things like that. Now, it doesn't really work with my intelligence, so chances are I'm not going to pick it, or I'm going to go back and change my intelligence and wisdom modifiers to resemble this. But my barbarian side might come from the fact that I am enraged by not being allowed to have anything but the knowledge. I'm not allowed to do anything with it. And so I know all these secrets, and so on and so on and so on. There's a lot of things you could do with it. Just find the one that works really well for you. I think for my one, I would like to make him probably... it's tricky. I like folk hero, but it doesn't really work with a drow. Probably going to go more with I like criminal spy. So your background is your most, it's hard to pick them because your character's always changing, and you probably built them up to have multiple types of backstory or layers to your backstory, but you want to pick something that really sits with who they are currently, so that way you can always kind of play into it or slowly change out of it, but keep the skills. I get a gaming set, so I don't know, playing cards. Yep, and then obviously in here you can choose your alignment. So this guy's going to be, let's see. It's always good to go like a chaotic good or neutral for your first character, and then you can build and change that. I'm going to go with chaotic neutral. We'll say that he left his tribe and he thinks mainly about himself, so he'll do evil deeds to benefit himself, but he won't choose to do the evil should he not need to. I can write my faith in. I can choose a lifestyle. None of this really affects the character sheet, but it definitely does add some backstory before you write a backstory. So we'll say he's got dark hair. Well, we know he has dark skin because he's a drow. Let's give him white eyes. Height, I'm going to put him at 175 centimeters. Weight, I don't really care. Age, he's a drow, so I'm going to put him at, 250 years old. And gender, he is, I keep saying he, so he must be male. Well, it doesn't have to be male, but I've chosen that. In here, you can choose from a list of personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. This is to help you build a backstory. You don't have to do these. You can make up yours solely from scratch, or you can use these to help build that story as you go on. So let me see. I've always got a plan for what I do when things go wrong. Probably not. I would rather make new friends than new enemies. I'm going to say yes. He's very charismatic. That's probably something you'd want. I could pick all of them, really. Or I can pick a random one. Ideals. Let's see. Charity. I steal from the wealthy so that I can help people in need. Yep. That sounds fine to me. Bonds. What are the good things? What keeps me grounded? Something important was taken from me and I aim to steal it back. I really like that. Oh, that sounds like a... does sound like a rogue. Maybe my ill-gotten gains go to support my family. I'm trying to pay off a debt. That would be good. I pay off a debt, and I'll remove that one later. And my flaw. What's my flaw? I have a tell that reveals when I'm lying. I turn tail and run when things look bad. An innocent person is in prison for me. I'm okay with that. That could come back to bite me later, so I could add that. Now, I could build my backstory based off of these choices. Again, I can make notes. This is more for later on when you're playing. I could not do any of these and make it all up on my own. These are just helpful tips. Once you get here, you can either choose to have gold and then have to go and actually play the game in person to spend the gold to buy the equipment. It's probably best if you just get your equipment. Let's see, I want an axe. I want 2 hand axes. An explorer's pack. Great, I get a crowbar, I get common clothes, I get some money, and I add it. That's simple. Now, when you get to other character styles, you may have more options. I don't have any magic items or any other possessions yet, unless I've spoken to my DM, so I will skip there. What's next? Well, view the character sheet. Okay, and once we open up the character sheet, here we are. We have our sheet ready to go. I'm now ready to play D&D. Now, if you've never seen this before, there are really great videos that really detail this, but I'll very, very quickly go over it. Basically, up the top here are your skill, your stats, basic stats, but you won't ever really use them, to be fair. What you'll mostly use is things such as your saving throws. The DM will ask you when something is going to affect you to make a saving throw. You'll roll a 20-sided dice and you'll add whatever they said to add. So like, oh, make a wisdom saving throw. I'll roll a d20. So might as well roll one on here. Roll. And what do I get? I get a 12 plus -1. I get an 11. Now, that's the long way of doing it. I could click on the button right here and it'll roll it and it'll do all the math for me. What did I get? A 4 minus 1 is a 3. I'm probably going to get possessed. Or, yeah, anyway, you get it. So that's a definite spot that you'll be looking at. Your senses, you won't really look at them. It depends on how heavy your DM plays off of your passive senses. I don't think we ever use passive investigation or insight. I'm pretty sure we use passive perception a lot because that involves like being snuck up on. But it really depends on your DM. Down the side here is your things that you're proficient with. So I can use these types of things. I can use light armor. I can use medium armor. I can use shields. These are the types of weapons, yada, yada, yada. And here are the languages I speak. I speak Common and Elvish. Now, this big box here, this is going to play a lot into your game, just like the saving throws. These are your skills. So a saving throw, the easy way to remember is if something is going to affect you, you make a saving throw. However, if you are trying to do something to someone or something else, you will make a skill check. And your DM will choose what is probably the best option to be used, or you can try and convince them like, oh, can I make a history check because of my backstory? I know this, this, and this. Or can I do a nature check because I lived for so long in the wild? I would have come across this, this, and this. And again, you would roll the dice and add the modifier, or you would, if you're using DnD Beyond, you could click the button and it would roll the dice for you. So let's go deception. I'm lying, trying to get my way, get some things. What did I get? I got a 7 because I got 2 plus 5. That's very low. I probably won't get that at all. But the point is, I get that bonus. Now, speaking of bonuses, everyone has proficiency bonus. It's always the same. As you level up, it goes up and it will add to your proficiency. What are you proficient in? You chose them before and some of them are given to you. These little black dots tell you what they are. I have proficiency in athletics and deception and perception. And in my saving throws, it's the con and the strength. Now, it's already added it on. Normally, my athletics is strength plus 2. But because I have proficiency, I get an extra 2. So I have plus 4. And here we go. What did I get? 16 plus 4. I get 20. Not natural. Yay.
After that, you have your initiative. So when you roll for battle, you'll be told to roll for initiative. This will decide your turn in the game. Your armor, if they hit this or higher, you will take damage. How fast you can move. Here is your hit points, your health, if you have any defenses or conditions. And then down here, what can I do? Here are all my actions. How about just my attack actions? Just my actions. Here are my bonus action options. I can rage. I get an action and a bonus action unless it says otherwise in my character. I get a reaction on someone else's turn. And that's the opportunity attack. And then some other things and a limited use thing, which is my rage. Do I have spells? Yes, I do. Can I use them? They are an action. Where's my spell? Didn't come up. But I have spells as an action. Here's my equipment. Let's add my weapons because I haven't added them yet. So now when I go to my actions, oh, look at all my attacks that I can do. Amazing. Features and traits, if I have to quickly read up on them, my rage, my keen sense, my trance that we mentioned before. So they're here ready to use. Descriptions, that's where we put all our details in. Here's where we can make notes. So if we meet any enemies, any allies, organizations, backstory, or other important notes, we can make them here. And then anything extra, such as getting animal companions and so on. Basically, that is the character sheet.
All right, so hopefully that provided some insight for anyone who was about to create their first character on D&D Beyond, and I really hope it has helped give some information on where the channel is headed. As always, check out any of these previous videos, wherever they do pop up, and I will see you in the next video. Comment, like, subscribe. I can't wait to see where this goes.